From RF Smart, this is Taking Inventory, a podcast all about better controlling your supply chain and improving inventory management. And now, your host, Sarah Archer.
Hello, and welcome back to Taking Inventory with RF Smart. I am your host, Sarah Archer, and on this podcast, we talk about all things supply chain. And today, I am joined by two very special guests. I've got Tony and Demijan here with me today. Tony has been with RF Smart for quite some time. I'll let him introduce himself in just a moment, but he is a great and wonderful expert who's going to be walking us through some automation subjects today, as well as Demijan, who represents our customer FYiDoctors. We're going to be talking about how FYiDoctors has seen improved efficiency in their warehouse using automation with RF Smart. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but Tony, tell us a little bit about you and your role at RF Smart.
Sure, happy to, Sarah. My name is Tony Wolf. I'm product manager for RF Smart's automation solution. And I've been with RF Smart for about 12 years and have been helping companies manage inventory for about 25 years.
And before you were on the products team helping with automation, you were actually in our customers' warehouses helping to sell the software and lead them through that process as well. Is that correct?
Yep, that is correct. I've walked through hundreds of warehouses and manufacturing operations in my career and helping organizations implement automated technology to be more efficient in their supply chain processes.
Wonderful. We're excited to have your automation expertise here today, Tony. And then Demijan, tell us a little bit about yourself and FYiDoctors.
Yeah, no problem. Demijan, the warehouse manager at FYiDoctors. I've been with the company for almost 5 years now. Some background on FYiDoctors. We're a fully integrated eye care company. We have a network of over 300 clinics across Canada. How it kind of looks like is our patients come into our eye care clinics where they get a fully comprehensive eye exam. They choose the frames and lenses they would like afterwards. And we actually have our own fully automated lab in Canada as well here, where we manufacture over 3,000 pairs of lenses a day and distribute them to our network of clinics. We've been with RF Smart for over 2 years now, and I'm super excited about the podcast and a chance to share our story.
We're going to turn our focus today to automation, and I want to get right to it because this is a big topic and we've got a lot to cover. So, Tony, when we talk about automation, one of the things that we talk about specifically at RF Smart and what we're going to focus on today is ASRS and how our smart customers can leverage those technologies. So there's a lot of acronyms and there's a lot of different meanings and different phrases that get thrown out there around automation. Could you give us an automation 101 so as we're talking today, we know what everything refers to?
Sure, Sarah. Yeah. So today we're talking about, as it relates to automation, that can mean lots of things to different folks. We're talking about automation for the warehouse, and specifically the use of ASRSs. That stands for Automated Storage and Retrieval Systems. And so those systems come in various shapes and sizes, and they're really a piece of machinery designed to allow customers to store inventory more densely. And when items need to be retrieved or picked, they are delivered to the worker as opposed to a worker needing to walk a warehouse to retrieve an item. Now, a certain type of automated storage and retrieval system, or ASRS, is a VLM. VLM stands for a vertical lift module, and it is a specific type of an automated storage and retrieval system that is a tower, and it has upright stacks of trays and really an elevator component that moves those trays or brings those trays to the operator so that they can effectively retrieve and or pick items. Other types of automated storage and retrieval systems other than vertical lift modules are vertical carousels, also called VCs, horizontal carousels, robotic shuttle systems that actually have embedded robots that bring product to a operator. Again, variety of different types of automated storage and retrieval systems. One more term to throw at you is many times automated storage and retrieval systems are referred to as goods-to-person solutions. And as opposed to a worker walking a warehouse to go get goods or items, goods are brought to the person, and hence the goods-to-person definition that's also used to define automated storage and retrieval systems.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tony. And that's very helpful because, like you said, there's a lot of letters and acronyms out there. So the ones we'll use today are ASRS, VLM, and I'm actually going to leave a link to our website. So if you want a little bit more of a visual idea, we do have a webpage on ASRS. But we've got Demijan here who actually uses an ASRS, is using automation in his warehouse. Demijan, Can you tell us a little bit about how you chose to use ASRS? I know that you actually heard about it from the RF Smart podcast, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Just some background before that. We have a fully automated lab. So our manufacturing equipment is top of the line in the industry. Our warehouse, unfortunately, kind of lagged behind before I started working with the company, but we always had the idea to eventually modernize it with some automation. It was always on the radar for us. But what did get the ball rolling was casually was listening to a few of the RF Smart podcasts, and one of them happened to be on automation. And a week after that, we got on a call with Tony and the team at RF Smart, and that started the journey. In terms of the reasons for doing an ASRS or warehouse automation, the obvious benefit is the increased throughput and picking. But the bigger win for us choosing the VLM is the space savings. So we essentially replaced your standard 7 to 8 foot high picking shelves with 24-foot high VLMs that go all the way up to our ceiling. And the VLMs store the product in about as efficient a manner as possible. So those are huge savings for us. What we have is 4 VLMs right now. We're with about 10,000 SKUs in there. That is a combination of our lenses and frames and sunglasses as well.
That's wonderful. And we'll talk a little bit about how that works and how you're able to pick with that here in a moment. But I am curious how you selected the ASRS that you selected, because there's different kinds and brands. And I know you mentioned wanting to be able to use that vertical space, and you guys are using a Cardex vertical lift module. Why did you choose to go with Cardex?
Yeah, that's a good question. We had actually several proposals, I believe 3. 2 of them were what Tony mentioned, a more horizontal carousel. We had vertical carousels as well. We wanted to go with a vertical solution because of the space savings. We did end up going with Cardex as our vendor. The unit's actually called the Cardex Remstar Shuttle XP, which was one of their newest VLM models at the time. Their solution had the best fit for us based on our product, our requirement for vertical space optimization. And they actually had a trusted local partner that executed the build and provides ongoing maintenance and support. And they're right next door, so they can answer tickets within a day. So that was a huge service level that we required as well.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I didn't realize that they were right around the corner. That's great. Tony, can you explain, because it's always kind of funny when you talk about WMS and ERP and automation, all of that kind of lives out in the cloud, and it can be tricky to understand how all of the things talk to each other and how they all work. So can you talk us through how RF Smart works with the automation in order to get the pick plans to the VLM?
Yep, happy to, Sarah. You can really think of automation as a sophisticated integration tool for supply chain processes and or appliances. So in this case, we're integrated to an automated storage and retrieval system, and generally those integrations work with that type of solution. Is we're using a component from our Smart like Pick Planner to buy the right orders and line items that need to be picked from that ASRS. Then automation picks up that data or those records, passes it over to the ASRS system, which typically is comprised by a piece of software that manages the inventory within the ASRS. So again, we pass those necessary orders or line items that need to be picked out of the ASRS. Then as picking takes place out of the ASRS, we're also feeding that activity back into NetSuite so that we're keeping inventory accurate, right, in customers' primary system of record for inventory and order management, which is NetSuite.
Tony, I'm curious if there are any examples that come to mind of customers who are using a VLM for a unique purpose or doing it in a unique way that you might want to share. I know Demijan's going to share in just a moment how they're using it, but if anything comes to mind for you.
I think Demijan hit on the 2 most common reasons why customers tend to implement automated storage and retrieval systems. One is to more densely contain inventory. It can be more efficient if you're growing out of your warehouse, as an example, and you need to conserve space and hold inventory more densely. Automated storage and retrieval systems are a great tool for doing so. Also, because you don't have to walk a warehouse and they're bringing goods to the person, right? It can enable an increase in picking velocity. So that can be a benefit as well. And then a third instance that we hear sometimes from customers, there's also a level of control there in keeping inventory under lock and key within that particular appliance. So that too, depending on the inventory that's held, might be valuable to a customer.
That makes a lot of sense. I know that many of our customers that are using this are using it for things that are kind of small. So I know like at Gem Products, which is the podcast that Demijan had listened to when he started pursuing this project, they manufacture little tiny pieces for boats, little stainless steel parts. And so they've got all these little parts in these little containers. And I also know we have some jewelry customers who also do something similar. So great point there about security as well. Demijan, can you talk to us a little bit about how you guys are using RF Smart in conjunction with the ASRS and what that looks like for your business specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. As Tony mentioned, RF Smart's role here is the integration. So the VLMs, the Cardex ones that we have, they have their own software that kind of runs all the operations within the VLMs. It's called the Power Pick Global, or PPG for short. But the challenge is everything you execute in there, how is that going to be updated on the item fulfillments and so forth in NetSuite? And that's where RF Smart came in. During the development process, we kind of matched all the functions we had outside the VLMs and your regular warehouse operations. We wanted them to also exist in kind of a VLM format. So we have full support with bin putaways, bin transfers, sales order picking, even things like inventory counting and task picking through Pick Planner, which is a little more complex, but we were able to find solutions for that. I don't know if you want me to touch base on how we utilize Pick Planner, because it's probably the most efficient area where we saw the most gains in throughput.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to hear more about how you guys are using Pick Planner, especially with the VLM.
Pick Planner is something we used before the VLMs. We continue to use it both within the VLM environment and outside. We creating tasks and plans by zones. So our VLMs are represented by one bin in NetSuite. It's called the VLM bin, contains all our 10,000 SKUs in there. And it's a zone VLM, which we arbitrarily assign to it. We essentially just run plans a few times a day. It picks up any lines on orders that have product in the VLMs. And the RF Smart integration pushes those tasks or the batches in the PPG software for picking inside the VLMs. And then RF Smart integration looks for a task complete trigger when the task is done picking in the VLMs, and that will push through all the item fulfillments into NetSuite in real time with little delay or lag.
Demijan, can you describe for us, Pick Planner, what does that look like for your pickers? How are they validating that information once they've picked the item?
There's actually no handheld scanners involved in the picking process for a task in the VLM. Those tasks get pushed through. As I said, they're kind of called batches within the software. You'll see a list of all the orders. We create a maximum amount of orders per tasks to kind of match the pick to light system, which I can go into more detail later. It's very easy for the pickers. It's very intuitive. There's not much validation or chances for errors to happen.
I really want to talk about the pick to light system because this is one of the most unique things I think I've ever heard about. Definitely one of the most unique processes that we've talked about on the podcast. You guys have seen incredible efficiency from being able to use the VLM, and you've taken it a step further with the pick to light. So fill us in, tell us about that.
Absolutely. So the VLMs are kind of one technology. And now customers of Cardex have a different preference on how they're going to actually get the picking after the product is taken from the VLM. What we used is called batch lights. So we have a fixed rack of up to 40 lights now that we slide these rolling carts behind. Each rolling cart has a little small tote or bin that represents an order. So if I backtrack a bit and we're creating tasks in Pick Planner, task comes out with 40 orders. When you start the task in VLM, you pick the product, you turn around, the light pops up. The light is telling you where to put that product into, the light being an order, right? You put the product in the location, you confirm the pick by pressing the light, turn around, there's another product that's presented to you from the VLMs. So you're kind of going back and forth. There is a lot of movement back and forth, but it's more just turning, not actual horizontal movement. Some of these batches have 300-400 lines on them, which really pushes the throughput efficiency where we can get up to 250-300 lines per hour on some of the larger batches.
How easy is that to train when you've got new people coming in? I mean, really, you are picking what it's telling you to, you're putting it, I mean, how easy is training with that?
Well, that's also another one of the benefits of automation, especially the solution that we chose, is training is very simple, very self-explanatory, intuitive. You pick the product the machine tells you to pick, you turn around and put it away in the section that it tells you to put away into. And then that also further improves inventory accuracy. We've noticed our inventory counts are much more accurate. Automation limits the human error aspect as well. If I can just add one more thing is outside the VLMs, we use totes for picking, and we usually use tasks of up to 10 to 20 orders. There's only so high you can go with the tote picking because once you pick the product, you have to visually find that tote number. So the more totes that you're looking for, the slower it can be. That's eliminated by the VLMs because you're just looking for a light that pops up. You're not looking for a number. So there's less thinking by the operator and less downtime in between finding that tote number versus just looking for a light that popped up.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense. Tony, I feel like FYiDoctors has really taken this to the next level. For customers who might be interested in kind of getting started with VLM and they're like, all right, we're thinking about just making this initial investment into a machine. What kind of efficiencies can they expect to see when it comes to training and different things like that if they are just going with phase one? They're setting up their VLM.
I think going back to the point that was raised earlier, the efficiencies gained certainly in inventory density. The machines are designed to store inventory at a very dense level, much more so than traditional racking in a warehouse. So immediately you can expect that type of benefit. But depending on size of your existing warehouse and size of items and to what degree we can densely contain them within a vertical lift module, typically you will also encounter a benefit in picking productivity, as Demijan just described here, because you no longer have to walk a warehouse to retrieve products. Instead, you can stand stationary and this appliance will retrieve and deliver the product to the worker that's standing there. And as Demijan has described in their operation, we can add additional automation capabilities such as totes and carts and put-to-light type solutions to make that super easy for the end user and to, again, improve and increase productivity in the picking process.
So Demijan, I know that you initially heard this podcast. You were like, let's go ahead and take the leap into automation. I bet you've already inspired some people today and gotten their wheels turning about what they could be doing. But I want to know what your future plans are, because FYiDoctors is a leader in this innovation in warehousing. So I want to hear, what do you guys have on the radar? What else are you going to be adding? What's on your wish list?
We're extremely happy with how the VLMs turned out. We were really happy with the partnerships with RF Smart, obviously, to give us confidence in exploring new areas in the rest of our warehouse. I'd say we've optimized our picking portion, but next for us will be looking at our pack and ship, part of the item fulfillment and shipping. We have looked into some put-to-light technologies as well with some automated conveyors, because if you want to picture it, we have over 300 clinics that we're distributing over 3,000 orders to a day. Right now, we manually walk around and place those orders in the clinic bin, but we want each of those clinics represented by a light. So when the user scans the item fulfillment number, a light would pop up where they would add that order to the clinic for that day. And all of that would be integrated, facilitated by RF Smart as well, doing the integration between the put-to-light software and NetSuite. Much like they did for the VLM project, that's definitely on the radar for 2023 and something that we're really excited about.
That is very exciting. Thanks so much, Demijan. And Tony, what does RF Smart have on the radar when it comes to automation? We see new and exciting stuff popping up in the warehousing supply chain industry all the time. So what has RF Smart got on the radar?
Great question, Sarah. Just as it relates to automated storage and retrieval systems, as an example, an additional tool that we're going to be releasing is an inventory reconciliation dashboard. So as Demijan referenced here and described, their use of PPG software, which is what drives the ASRS. And of course, their master system of inventory is NetSuite. This inventory reconciliation dashboard allows you to take a look and see if there's any discrepancies between the ASRS software and NetSuite, and then even allows you to take action, like to create a count in that ASRS to correct any discrepancies that might exist. So that's just in our automation for ASRS solutions. We're also going to be releasing for companies like FYiDoctors that use automated storage and retrieval systems, or companies that just want to have better visibility and make it easier to capture dimensions of their items, because automated equipment like automated storage and retrieval systems benefits from having dimensions and weight. RF Smart's also releasing an automation for mobile dimensioning solution, similar to other functions of RF Smart. Now you can use a mobile terminal, but a terminal that's equipped with technology that can determine the dimensions of an item with sensors that are on that device and electronically capture dimensions, and if connected to a Bluetooth scale, capture weight and automatically update that information in NetSuite. So you can use it for a variety of purposes, including if you're taking advantage of an ASRS. And that's what you can look forward to in 2023.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for being here today. Certainly a lot of exciting news. And if it got your wheels turning and you're thinking, I would really love to think through what an automation project could look like for my business, we are here to help. I would love for you to get in touch with your account rep or email info@rfsmart.com, and we'll make sure you get directed to the right person so that we can go ahead and get you started with that project. I've talked about a number of resources today that you might want to listen to. Make sure you check out the show notes and you can listen to that original Gym Products podcast if you'd like to, as well as check out some other links as well so you can learn a little bit more about automation. But before you go, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. You can enter your email at rfsmart.com/podcast, and we will send you an email every time we release a new episode, or you can subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts like Apple Podcasts, Google, or Spotify. Thank you so much for listening. Big thank you to Tony and to Demijan and FYiDoctors for walking us through this topic today, and we will see you next time. Thanks.